Hi, welcome to the Renaissance Geek. I know it's been about 3 weeks since you heard from me or seen me, and of course, I've been busy. Um, I'm not really feeling like doing much right now. Um, I will go on later on the reason why I'm kind of like right now. Anyways, so let me catch you up before we start telling about other things. The past 3 weeks, what's been going on? Let's see, here in Phoenix, we had the Phoenix Gay Pride, or LGBT Pride. Joshua Tree Feeding Program had a beer truck in the dance pavilion area, so we basically all weekend from 8 a.m. until roughly about 9:30 p.m. I was one of the managers of the beer truck, so I had to be there, as well as other like Peter and Glenn and Malon, and we had great volunteers helping us out. Had a great time. It was very long, and I think it took like 2 or 3 days for me to recover. Even then, it wasn't even enough time because and then on Sunday I did the parade. I wasn't planning on doing the parade, but I ended up doing the parade because one of the people who was supposed to help out, because Joshua Tree had the van in the parade, but one of them couldn't make it. She ended up getting sick, so I took her. Excuse me, sorry, that was rude. I had to take her place, so I did the parade. Didn't plan on it, but I was in a parade. I basically rode in the van because, that's me. Pride was fun. It was, pride is pride. I think I'm getting at that age where, I won't go to Pride unless I'm working, because it's not like I'm not proud of who I am, and it's not like I don't believe in any of the organizations out there. It's just I've been doing Pride since the late 80s, and I'm kind of like going, okay, yeah, don't necessarily need to do Pride, but I'll do it, especially with Joshua Tree here at Phoenix, for the getting the beer truck, because that's a substantial amount of money that we get from Pride for doing this. We get $1 for every ticket that we get, because alcohol ticket, for alcohol you get tickets, so we get $1 for every ticket, and then we get to keep all of our tips. So it's a moneymaker for us, and we're very honored and happy that Pride lets us do this. This is our 6th year of doing it, and they all, and as far as I know, they're happy with us, because hey, we're still doing it. So that was Saturday and Sunday, the 2nd and 3rd of April, and then recovered and tried to recover on Monday the 4th. And then Tuesday the 5th, Jeannie Koch and I drove to Pasadena, California, because her daughter was getting married that Saturday, the 9th of April. But she wanted to get there early, and with, hey, she's a full-time published author, so she's able to take, and go. She doesn't have to take time off of work. So we went there, and it was... the host hotel was the Hilton in Pasadena. A really nice hotel. We got there. Let me tell you a funny story. I've mentioned this, I believe, before. Jeannie and I, we travel well together. We have music in the background, but we never listen to the radio. We never listen to CDs. We never listen to things on the iPod, because we're just blabbing the whole way, mostly about work-related stuff with her career. But we did a pit stop outside of Palm Springs at the rest area there. We got into the car and we drove the last 2 hours, hour and a half to 2 hours, to Pasadena. Right before we got off the freeway, right before, when we were in Pasadena, both Jeannie and I realized that the music wasn't on, because we forgot to turn the iPod back on and the radio back on when we got in from the rest area, we were talking so much that, music wasn't even when the music's off, we don't notice it. So I thought it was comical. Had dinner at the restaurant at the hotel, and it was a nice dinner. The waitress was hilarious. It was a great waitress. Then on Wednesday, she was picking up at the Burbank airport her literary agent and her agent's husband, and then her editor from DAW at the Burbank airport. And so right across the street from the airport is the Amtrak train station. So I took the Amtrak down to San Diego, and I forgot how nice that ride is. I always stated that the Amtrak to San Diego from LA, after you get through Orange County around Dana Point, it's just gorgeous because it's literally the train tracks, beach, ocean. So a good hour of it, you're basically going, it's from Dana Point to Del Mar. You're basically, right along the water. So it's just gorgeous. Had a nice train ride, and then, but because the train was at 11:30, that means I got there at 3:15, and Scott was still at work. So I just went around the corner from where he lives, and there's a coffee house. So I basically hung out at the coffee house until he got home. Had dinner at his place. He had taped back in the fall. PBS had the American Masters series, and they did a two-night of Walt Disney and his life, his biography. So we watched the first night on Wednesday night, and then on Thursday he went to work, and it was pouring rain in San Diego, so I didn't do anything. I went, basically hung out, watched TV, and read my book. And I was supposed to go to the zoo, but there's no way I'm going to go in the zoo in the torrential downpour. But during around 3 or 4 o'clock, it was starting to ease up. So I went and walked 3 blocks to the grocery store, pick up stuff so I could make chicken enchiladas, because that's how I earn my keep at staying with Scott, is making enchiladas. He loves them. Most people do who have my enchiladas. It's one of the, I would say, 4 dishes that I'm known for. So went there. No sooner within a half hour of me getting back from the store, it started pouring again. So I made enchiladas. He ended up getting stuck and working late. So he was telling me it was a nice surprise for him to have dinner already ready when he got home, because he was expecting we were going to have to order out or order pizza, one of those two. And then we watched the second night of the Walt Disney thing on Thursday night, and the documentary was good. They made Walt Disney a human, and I had read his biography, and I don't know if this documentary was based off that biography. I read his biography, and it's knowing an iconic person that you look up to and you believe in, to find out that yes, they are a human, they have their faults, and that they, for instance, one of the things that really got me upset when I read his biography, and they did mention this in the documentary, is that by the time that Cinderella came out, he didn't care about animation. He was already on to the next big thing, which was television. And that's how he was. He always looked for the next big thing, and make sure most of the time he was the one who created the next big thing. But he was always so iconic. Movies like this, like Cinderella, you think he didn't care anymore. I mean, he cared enough because it's his name and it's his company, but he didn't care enough to be right in the middle of it like he was with Dumbo and Fantasia and Bambi and Snow White. He let somebody else take care of it while he was working on television, and then when he didn't really care about television, it was Disneyland. And then after a while, Disneyland, he was all about movies where animation and live action were together, a la, Mary Poppins. And then after that, he was all about Disney World, and that's unfortunately when he got sick and, passed away of lung cancer. But still a good, he's human, he's valuable, but he was a brilliant man. And then on Friday, I went to the zoo. It wasn't raining. It was sprinkling here or there. So I went to the zoo. I got to see my girlfriend Delilah, who is a southern ground hornbill. Um, I absolutely adore her, and she does come to me when I call her. She's just gorgeous. Every time I'm in San Diego, I always make a point to go to the zoo, and anytime I go to the San Diego Zoo, I always spend at least 10 to 15 minutes with her, just talking to her and just taking pictures and video and telling how gorgeous she is, because she is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous bird. This time, majority of the time, she gives me presents. A leaf, a stone, a stick, whatever. But this time she got a new perch in her cage. So she literally was showing it off to me. I mean, she went from the bottom of the perch and then climbed up it because it was a diagonal, kind of a thing. And she walked up and down and was, doing her little clicking, because she doesn't really chirp. She does the click, clicking things because she's a hornbill. She's got a big horn. She's got a big beak. And then she would stand on the top of it and pose for me while I took pictures. So it was nice to see her. And then Friday night after Scott got home from work, we drove up to Pasadena, and we were staying in the host hotel, and he checked in because he got the room for us, but everybody was at the bar, so we basically had our luggage with us and was at the bar for 2.5 hours. Instead of putting the stuff into the room and then coming back down. But, for some reason, that's what ended up happening. Then Saturday was the day of the wedding. Veronica Cook got married to Kenny Rotter. Gorgeous wedding. Veronica looked very pretty. Her wedding gown was just gorgeous, and Kenny looked very handsome and dapper. It was a gorgeous wedding. It was nice. Had a great time, danced a lot, and they had one of those photo booths, which is the in thing. So took a lot of pictures, had a good time with their family, as well as mutual friends of ours. It was gorgeous. I was really pleasantly pleased. And then on Sunday was the brunch, and had it ate a lot, drank a lot, because it was free mimosas. And then I went back with Jeannie's husband, Steve, the Hubs. We drove back on Sunday because I had a meeting for Joshua Tree. So got back Sunday night, Monday recovering, because technically I never really recovered. I had one day from Pride to recover, and then that Monday recovered from Pride, kind of recovered, and then we're off to California. So when we got back on the 10th, basically, I told the boys that, the 11th and 12th, I ain't doing anything. And I didn't. I did laundry. I took naps. I didn't do anything. I did darts. And then, because on Wednesday, the 13th, I believe, Melanie, who is one of our volunteers, and I did the Wells Fargo volunteer appreciation luncheon thing, where we had a table at the main Phoenix campus, or tower, or whatever you want, one of the big high rises, and had a nice time. I mean, there was a bunch of other nonprofits for looking for volunteers and stuff, but I thought it was very successful. I was very pleased and happy about it. Speaking of Melanie, I've known her since 2010, 2011, around there, through through a group called Hero. Then we both kind of left Hero, and she went off to Pride, and I was with Joshua Tree. Now, she was on the board, and she termed out because they have term limits for their board of directors. So while Jeannie and I were on book tour back in December, she started volunteering at Joshua Tree, and she really likes Joshua Tree. She likes how it feels comfortable. It feels like a family. It feels like home. And she's been doing a lot of things helping us out. She's now the grant writer, and she's also our corporate liaison person. The reason why I'm mentioning her right now is because she was able to get us a meeting with the Phoenix Mercury that she did while I was in California. So, On June 18th, the Phoenix Mercury's Pride Night. It's a Saturday night. Joshua Tree is the beneficiary of the tickets being sold for that game. We will be able to put out 500 brochures or flyers about Joshua Tree on the seats. We are able to have a table in the corporate level. We are able to sell the 50-50 raffles where we get a portion of it, and we are able to have a 30-second PSA during halftime on their big monitors. If we are able to sell 200 tickets before the end of April, they will have a Phoenix Mercury player do the PSA and film it for us. So tickets start at $12. We get a portion of it. So if I will put a link on this, if you are able, even if you don't live here, $12 is basically 2 times at Starbucks. So buy a ticket, support Joshua Tree. It'd be great if you could do it before the end of April. But at least do it before the end of May, because after May, we don't get any portion of any of the tickets. But please, 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 come to the game if you're in town. If you're in the state, even come to the game. It's a Saturday night. You could do it, a game and then leave that night, or stay the night at a Motel 6 if you're worried about money, or if you have family here. If you don't live in this state or you cannot make it, like I said, it's just $12. 2 Starbucks trips or 3 Dunkin' Donut trips, Please support us. I mean, this is a huge thing for us. So please, 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 there's my begging. But we couldn't have done this without Melanie. And I am just completely grateful for her. Same thing with Wells Fargo. We would not be able to get that meeting in for Wells Fargo without her and her fiance Lane. So I am indebted to both Melanie and Lane for everything they've done in the past 4 months, 5 months that Melanie's been with Joshua Tree. So internally grateful, internally appreciative, and so that's moving on. Let's go on. I'm going to gloat right now, and I'm not one to really gloat on everything I do, but this time I am, because remember, I think I mentioned that I was a guest speaker for St. Mary's Food Bank Alliance's Hunger Heroes Luncheon. I had a 5-minute speech. I got people choked up. I got choked up, and I made a couple people cry because of this speech that I did on March 31st. St. Mary's is going to make Joshua Tree one of their premier agencies, so whenever they get state legislatures, congressmen coming in for a tour of their agencies, we are going to be one of them. We are going to get some high-ranking politicians coming in to check our facility out and see what we do and how we do it. Then on May 18th, the board of directors of St. Mary's is going to be coming in to see us and to see how we run things and see how we do things at Joshua Tree, to see what they can learn from us. And I also found out that there was a woman from Bank of America who was at the luncheon, and I made her cry, and she had a meeting with the executive committee when Melanie and I were at Wells Fargo, that she wants to do things for us. She told us when the grants are. She said we could use them as a reference. She fell in love with us, and I am gloating because it was all because of that 5-minute speech that I did. Those 3 things would not have happened. So kudos, pat on the back for me. The reason why I'm scatterbrained today, that's basically it for what's been going on until right now. I'll do another one probably tomorrow morning, talk about the 3 weeks that I've missed for RuPaul's Drag Race. I am happy with who's been kicked off. It's not my, and I'll leave it at that, but I'll talk more about it in depth. The reason why I'm a little off today, today is April 21st, is because this morning my absolute favorite artist passed away. For those of you who can't see, or I've been a huge Prince fan since 1981. My mother got me hooked on him. I'm just, I was in a meeting today, so I couldn't really see the specifics on what happened. I still don't know. I was watching Purple Rain right now. I put it on pause because I really need to do this podcast, and I'm at 20 minutes. But it's hard for me. I've seen him live about 9 times. I've seen him where he was at the gymnasium at University of California, San Diego. I've seen him in a small club in Mission Beach. I saw him at the Cox Arena in San Diego, at San Diego State. I saw him at the Kodak Theater, which is now the Dolby Theater in Hollywood. And when he performed at the Kodak Theater, it had just opened up, so the Oscars, the Academy Awards hadn't even been there yet. I mean, he was in January. The Academy Awards are in February. The best concert I ever saw in my life is at the MGM that he played, that my friend Jeff and I were at, and they turned the lights on him at 1 o'clock in the morning, and he still finished and played his song. The next day our feet hurt, or actually later on that morning our feet hurt. We had no voices. That was the best concert I've ever seen in my life. I don't think anyone's going to take over from that concert, because it started at 8 p.m. and he played until after 1 a.m. And this is when he was still doing the raunchy stuff, before he became a Jehovah's Witness. Graham Central Station opened for him, so he was just starting to be converted, and conversion is the wrong word, but he was just starting to the teachings of it. Tonight, I'm going to be watching his stuff. Like I said, I have Purple Rain on. I'm almost done with it. I'm going to put on Under the Cherry Moon. I am going to put on Sign of the Times, his concert video. I'm going to do the bootleg Purple Rain video that I have that he did in Georgia. And, then there's the One Night Only concert that he did. It's hard. I ain't gonna lie. I saw a post on social media that actually describes it. I never met the man. I don't know the man. I used to work with somebody who knew him, and she would go and party with him when he was in town. But the thing is what they posted is the fact that even though you didn't know them, their music helped you get through your life when you needed it. And he did. He helped me. He made me happy. He made me cry. He just was a brilliant artist. He's a great musician. And I'm gonna start crying now, because it's part of my life. And on that note, I'm going to leave. So, once again, I'm sorry I was late, but as you could see, there's reasons why. I will post my RuPaul tomorrow on the 22nd, and we'll go from there, okay? You take care. May you live to see the dawn.